I mean, how many of these Ukrainians have died needlessly? The handwriting was on the wall 2 years ago. Why would you drag this thing out? And Putin has not wanted to drag it out, but he has also not wanted to give people in the West the impression that he's interested in doing anything more than removing the Ukrainian menace. In other words, he's not interested in conquest, doesn't want to march west. I mean, how many times can he and Lavrov say this nonsense and shut up Ann Applebaum and the rest of these
Why does Ann Applebaum
crazies
have any effect on anything? I mean, this is like one of the dumbest people in the United States. I don't understand.
Well, she's also married to the Polish foreign minister. And right now, the latest poll says that 86% of the Polish population opposes any Polish participation in a war against Russia. So, and even Tusk has said, if you think we're joining some sort of contingent to go into Western Ukraine, forget it, we're not going. So I think this whole facade is crumbling.
Is there any European population, so there are many European leaders who have suggested, some have said out loud, others have hinted, that they're going to send troops to fight Putin?
It's absurd.
Is there any European population that wants that?
No, not a chance. I mean, the British are probably the furthest from Russia, and they all know what their army consists of today. It's a bad facsimile of what was there 200 years ago. It goes back to Bismarck's famous remark in 1879. He was asked by a British journalist, what would you do if the British army landed on the North German coast? He said, well, I'd have it arrested. And everyone was upset, but he was right. The British army was about the size that it is now. And the German army at that point numbered what, 600,000 with a capacity to mobilize millions. So this is all nonsense. The same thing is nonsensical in France. All my friends in the French military, and I've got several, have told me, Douglas, this is absurd. You know, the only thing the French army is prepared for is to go on safari in Africa.
Yeah, and they're pulling out of there.
And of course they're pulling out. This is a waste of time, money, and resources, all of it. The issue for Donald Trump is as follows, and I think this is what's most important for him to keep in mind. And his instincts are good. If he follows his instincts, he'll be fine. He needs to stop listening to the people around him. For one, no, any war that breaks out today involving the United States and Russia, and whether or not Russia, we want it to be involved, Russia is involved in the Middle East. Russia is involved in Eastern Europe. Whatever happens, the war will expand. We will end up with multiple enemies arrayed against us. China, BRICS in general, and certainly Iran and other states in the Middle East. So the first thing is all wars will expand. So don't start one under any circumstances. It will expand out of control. The second thing is he's going to discover the hard way that we are grossly overstretched and overextended. The military, the American military establishment is in no position to fight any kind of long war. Remember, we used to talk about the long war that we were supposed to fight? That was all nonsense. If you look at all of the simulations that involve us against Iran or us against any number of great powers, they all end in 2 weeks. Well, why does the war end in 2 weeks? Because in 2 weeks, we've exhausted everything that we've got. There's no more ammunition. There are no more missiles, no more rockets. I would say, in truth, right now, it's closer to 1 week, maybe 10 days. And we don't have this scientific industrial base with manufacturing capability that is humming along 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We can't match Russia, a nation of what, 140 million? Imagine that economic base producing in China. China is in a position today that we were in during World War II and in the aftermath. We were the productivity giant across the world. That's China. So you can't go to war with these people. You'll be buried by them with conventional weapons and ammunition. Yes. And anyone who thinks a nuclear exchange makes sense deserves to be shipped off to the nearest asylum. And I think Trump understands that. So those first two things, anything that we do expands out of control. Secondly, we're overstretched, overextended. Our forces are tired. They're very exhausted. The naval forces in particular have a lot of problems. Not just them, but they're the ones that are sitting out there on the front line right now. And then on top of that, you have the Air Force. And the Air Force cannot field thousands and thousands of fighters and bombers. We lost 18,000 bombers trying to penetrate German air defenses during World War II. We in the Royal Air Force, 18,000 bombers. Air defenses today in Iran are substantial, and they are capable. This is the S-400. They are layered with multiple kinds of missiles over a vast area and radars. We are going to lose aircraft. No one knows how many because we've never fought our way through it. But we don't have thousands to lose. So in an attrition setting, we can't win. And unfortunately, when you're 6,000 miles away from home, it's attrition. You can't replace rapidly. You can't reload rapidly. You can't resupply rapidly. Logistically, it's a disaster. Then finally, you see what's happened in the market recently. Dropped 900 points. What do you think happens if there's a war in the Middle East or in Eastern Europe? It'll just intensify the sell-off. Everything tanks. All confidence will be lost. No one in their right mind at this point should be talking about a war. We should be talking about disengagement. And Zelensky, frankly, the way he was treated, I think President Trump was far too gentle. I'm surprised that two giant Secret Service agents did not come in, pick him up, and remove him from the office. It's just one huge,
that's a spicy take,
corrupt industry in Ukraine. And the longer we feed it cash, the worse it will get. So you've got to starve it of cash, starve it of ammunition, and end it. The Ukrainian people will ultimately thank you for it. They've had enough. Don't care what various people say. They're tired of it.
What do you think the actual losses are on both sides in that war?
I think the Russians have lost, well, when they say Russians, let's put it this way. The Russians, 90 to 100,000 dead. They may have lost another 10 to 20,000 non-Russians from within the military establishment. And that's one of the great achievements, by the way, of President Putin, has been to weld this force together that includes large numbers of Muslim Turks who are extremely competent fighters, very tough. In fact, the Chechen fighters are cleaning out Kursk right now, Kursk Oblast, because the Ukrainians made a mistake. They hurled large numbers of drones down into Chechnya and killed a number of people, and that just lit a fuse that is now exploding.
Who'd want to fight with Chechnya?
I certainly don't. No normal man wants to fight the Turks.
Right. I mean, those two wars, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I sort of followed it in the news. So maybe not want to mess with the Chechens at all.
Never, ever. Absolutely not. And there's a good, healthy relationship right now between the Muslims and the Orthodox Christians.
Yes, I've noticed.
It's a very positive thing. He's done that very well. There's a lot to be learned from that. I think we could do something similar in some respects. But having said that, the problem is right now, 100,000 plus 10 to 20,000
yes.
of the others, that's about it. But on the Ukrainian side, I can certainly account through the various sources I trust for 1.2 million dead Ukrainian soldiers. Dead. There are those
so you
out
think it's
there.
10 to 1?
Oh, easily. And that's because over the last year.
Well, that is just shocking.
Yeah, but that over the last year, it's grown. In other words, the losses have just tripled and quadrupled every day. You know, you've talked to people. You can watch people like Larry Johnson and Scott Ritter and others. They all have different numbers and different sources, but they all agree 1.2 million is about right. There are some who think 1.5 million is closer.
Dead.
Yes. And what happens at the end of wars?
In a country of under 50 million, but 25 million in the country now, I think, ish.
Yeah, there's nothing left. That's why the notion that they can build anything now is ridiculous. And how many millions are overseas? 15 to 20 million have left the country. There are 2 million plus Ukrainians in Russia and probably 15 plus million in the West. And most of them have made it clear they have no intention of ever going back. So this is killed, for all intents and purposes, for the foreseeable future, the Ukrainian nation. But these things happen at the end of wars. Most of the Germans killed in the military towards the end of the Second World War were killed in the last 9 months. Max Hastings wrote a book about it. I can't remember the exact title. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't a bad illustration of what was going on. When armies are retreating and they've lost their air and missile defense, they've lost their logistics. In other words, the units are breaking down because they can't feed themselves. They can't protect themselves. So it becomes not immediately every man for himself, but the units try to fight their way through to get back home. And that's what the Ukrainians have done. But as they're doing that, the problem today is with all of these unmanned systems and the surveillance that the Russians have, they can be killed in great numbers as they're running away, as they're leaving. And they're not running away because they're cowards. Nobody will tell you the Ukrainians are cowards. It's absolutely unacceptable. These are very brave, courageous people, just like the Russians. But they have no chance. And so they're being driven in front of the advancing Russians. And people say, well, why are the Russians advancing so slowly? Because from the very beginning, Putin has not wanted to kill large numbers of Orthodox Christian Slavs. It's not been his aim.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely the aim of the West.
Oh, my, look at these biolabs. Isn't that pretty clear from what we've seen?
It's pretty clear. And this whole, if you take 3 steps back, I mean, Ukraine is not even the point. The point is destroying Putin.
And if you can
killing Russia and breaking it up.
And if you kill large numbers of Ukrainians, I think for many of the people behind this, that was seen as a collateral damage or even a bonus. I hate to make that point, but
well, I agree completely. I mean, killing Christians around the world is the actual subtext to our foreign policy.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.